And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome for the first time Lauren Thoman here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, You Shouldn't Be Here, out tomorrow. Lauren, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, you should be here, actually. So You Shouldn't Be Here is a speculative mystery. It is about two strangers living in the same small Eastern Pennsylvanian town. One of them is a teenager who is convinced her house is haunted, but no one believes her, so she wants to set out to prove it. And the other is a first-year chorus teacher who's her cover story is she's there for a job, but really she's wanting to get to the bottom of what happened when her cousin went missing a couple years before, disappeared without a trace, and no one seems to want to talk about it. So these two people are both digging into their respective little puzzles, don't know each other, don't seem related, but little do they know they're actually going down the same path and putting themselves right in the crosshairs of one of the most powerful and dangerous people in town who will stop at nothing to keep his secrets from being uncovered.
Ooh, dun, dun, dun. So much to talk about, and I'm so excited to get into every delicious detail. First, I just want to welcome everyone. We are broadcasting live to 8 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make them a little less painful, get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors. You get to ask them anything. So ask Lauren about this book, all of my favorite things, and ask her what it's like to be with Mindy's book studio. What was it like to have Mindy Kaling herself pick this book? Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. Let's dive into the questions. Sharon is joining us live from YouTube saying, howdy, girls. Howdy, Sharon. Howdy. So good to see you. Renee is joining us from Facebook saying, hi, Sara and Lauren. The sun is shining directly in my eyes, so I'm going to use your book as a visor. Hi, Sara and Lauren from South Florida. Hi, Renee.
Hello.
Thanks for joining
us. I love the doggies. They look so happy.
We are dog people here, Lauren. So
yes.
We love doggies.
They may or may not have a guest dog appear behind me at some point in time. So,
oh my God, we love a guest dog. Bring on the guest dog. We would love nothing more than that. Julie is joining us from Facebook. She said, I love this book so much. I have already read it twice. Oh my God, Julie, I love that. And good to see you pop up, by the way. She wants to know, how did you come up with the
syzygy?
Thank you. The syzygy. And did you know they would be controversial for some reviewers? I was shocked, actually. So let's start there. First of all, tell everyone who hasn't read it yet, what the heck's syzygy?
Syzygy is the best friend of my main protagonist, Madelyn. She's the teacher. They went to college together. They were roommates for a few years, and syzygy is still in Western Pennsylvania. She's still in State College, going to Penn State for grad school. Well, they are go for psychology, but they are Madelyn's biggest support system, cheering section, co-dog parent, all of the things. And so syzygy is there to help Madelyn move in, and is also offers her support throughout the book when Madelyn's like, I think I'm maybe on the tail of a murderer. And syzygy's like, calm down. You are a first-year middle school teacher. You are not equipped for this. And so, so syzygy is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns. And syzygy's identity was just always that. Like, they came to me pretty fully formed. I was like, this is a person that's known who they are for a very long time. They, their coming out is a non-issue in this book because it was so long ago for them. Madelyn knows them very well. And it's like, it's just not dealt with in the book because that is old news for syzygy. They are a bartender. They are, they are working on a master's degree. They have bigger things. They think their best friend is maybe about to get herself killed. Like, they have a lot going on. outside of that. And so, yeah, to me, I just always, um, I imagined syzygy as the friend you would want if you were in this situation. If you're on your own in a new town and you have this long distance best friend, like what kind of support system would you want? Especially since Madelyn doesn't know anyone in this new town. And so whenever she needs someone to like bounce things off of, she's calling her old roommate and her best friend. And yeah, so this book was an Amazon First Reads pick, which means that for the month of July, um, readers that are Prime members could download it for free. And if they weren't on Prime, there's still a few days left. You could get it for a significant discount, the digital version. And then the physical copy comes out on Thursday, actually. And a lot of the reviewers, you know, with first reads, there's only a few books you can pick from, and most of the people pick it just by the cover, and the cover of this book is spectacular. I had nothing to do with it. It just, so I can say that it's spectacular. They did a great job with it. So some people downloaded the book and then were very, I guess, thrown by the fact that there was a non-binary character in it using they them pronouns, and found that very off-putting. And that was very surprising to me. Yeah, if you look at my negative reviews, most of them are about this character. And I mean, I was all, you know, when you're an author, you're prepared for negative reviews. I'm like, okay, people aren't going to like, you know, the way I handle my mystery, who my villain is, like story elements, right? It never actually occurred to me that people would just hate that I had a non-binary character at all. Because to me, I was like, syzygy is great. Syzygy is the kind of friend that I wish everyone had.
Yeah.
And so it was very surprising to me to encounter so much resistance, and a lot of people like, and I don't think it's a large quantity of readers overall, but you know, the vocal minority that wanted to like write out their displeasure in reviews. A lot of them said they didn't even finish reading it once they realized, like they got to the point where they realized that we had a character that was non-binary, and they just stopped reading and were like, nope, I'm not here for that. I don't want to keep going. 1 star. How dare you? And that was surprising to me. I was prepared for all sorts of other reasons for people to not like my book. I was not prepared for it to be one of the most likable characters in the book. That was the breaking point for a lot of people. And so yeah, so I did not know about that, but you know, like to me, it just kind of makes me sad for them. I'm like, oh, you need to meet more awesome people in your life that maybe you realize that this is like, it's not something I made up. This is just like, this was just a character that came to me because I'm like, I know people like this. So so yeah, so I just kind of hope that even though this obviously wasn't the book for them, that maybe that door just kind of gets nudged open a little bit over time, and maybe they eventually become a little more receptive to encountering people that, you know, are different than them in some way, and that they realize that like there's still a lot to people beyond the pronouns they use. And as for all of the reveals, I did plan most of them out. I think there are always some surprises as you're writing, but for the most part, I had a very short timeline in which to write this book. So I did plot this book out. It's probably the first book that I've ever written that I completely plotted beginning to end before I started writing it. And so most of the big twists and turns, I knew what I wanted to do in advance, but a lot of the sort of minutia revealed itself to me sort of as I got into the story.
How short of a timeline are we talking here, Lauren?
Well, initially, let's say not as short as I should have done. Initially, I sold this book on proposal, which is when you know, for those who don't know, when you basically say, I want to write a book about this, and the publisher buys the book, and then you have to write it. And a lot of times when authors sell on proposal, they have already written part of the book, just not all of the book. I had written none of the book. So, and I hadn't even written a fully fleshed out like outline. It was just a very quick process. So I had written just a couple pages of an outline, and then so the original timeline that I was supposed to draft the book in was 4 months. It wound up being 6 because it was also over the summer, and like my kids were home and we were traveling, and I was originally like, sure, I can write a book in 4 months. Then I realized I could not do that. And so it wound up being 6 months that I wrote the book in. But for me, who had never had to write to deadline before, definitely not a whole novel. I write freelance articles. I'm used to writing, 2,000 words on a deadline, but not 100,000. So that was a new experience for me, and I wound up having to bump that deadline just a little bit, but it still felt tight.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mine took me 10 years. So I am impressed. Yes. Okay. And your mic is super sensitive. So you might just want to mute whenever you want to take a tiny sip and keep your whistle wet whenever you want to wet.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No. I just know some people DM me afterward. They're super sensitive to that sound. So I'm just being super sensitive
Absolutely.
to those who have that sensitivity. Renee says, Lauren, congratulations on your debut thriller. Yay.
Well, thank you, Renee.
Robin, hello, Sarah and Lauren. Yay.
Hi, Robin. And I will say this isn't actually my debut. My debut came out last year. Which side am I on? That's that one right there. I'll Stop the World was my debut that came out last year. So You Shouldn't Be Here is my second. But they're both mysteries. They're both speculative. So, and yeah, debut last year was not that long ago.
So, oh my gosh. I know, a book a year. That's amazing. Renee saying, I'm so happy we have music tonight from Sarah's mouth. Oh my God, you're so kind, Renee. Robin saying, ooh, debut book. Oh, so this is number 2.
Number 2. Yep. But they're each of them are standalone. So I'll Stop the World available now. You Shouldn't Be Here comes out Thursday, or it's available now through First Reads.
Yay. Jane is joining us from Facebook saying, hi from Colorado. Hi, Jane. So great to have you here.
We have a guest dog.
Oh my gosh, we have a guest dog. Oh, Lauren wants to know, what type of dog do you have and what is his or her name? Yes, what kind of dog is this and what is their name?
Okay, so her name is Astrid. She doesn't want to look at the screen. And she's a mix. She is kind of all of the herding breeds together. So we've got Border Collie, we've got Aussie, Lab, Husky, like all of the herding mixes in here. And right now she's very nervous because it was raining today. But yeah, she's our rescue mix. And I also have a Shih Tzu wandering around here somewhere, I based a character in You Shouldn't Be Here on him. His name is Fezzik. And he's just a little brown fluff ball. And I don't know where he is right now, but Potato the dog in You Shouldn't Be Here is based on Fezzik.
Oh my God, Potato the dog. Fezzik. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Oh my God. Robin saying, as long as it's not a guest husband shadow. Yes, remember that time? One time a super terrifying shadow crept behind me as though to like, but it just was my husband trying not to interrupt my podcast. I was like,
oh,
you
no.
can't do that across a mystery and thriller podcast. The mavens are here to protect me. Oh my God, look at that little baby. Oh,
my daughter went and heard me talking about Fezzik and went and fetched him.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
So this is Fezzik. He's not sure what he's doing down here.
Look at his face. Oh my God, I'm dying.
But if you read You Shouldn't Be Here, this is basically Potato. I based her entirely on him. They have the same personality. And I do always, I'm not big into giving people spoilers about the book because I want to read it, but I'm like, Potato is fine. Nothing bad happens to Potato.
Oh my God, no, nothing, never.
Bad things happen around Potato, but she is not aware that any bad things are happening. She thinks she's having a great time for the whole book.
Oh my God, yes, exactly. So we have some comments happening in the chat about those negative reviews about Syzygy. Julia saying that is so interesting that most of the negative reviews are about the fact that this character is non-binary. Yeah, that is interesting. Randy is saying, hi, Sarah, and hi, Lauren. And Randy says,
hi, Randy.
Not at all surprised about he says, nothing surprising me anymore when it comes to the cruelty of people. Right, Lauren? Right, Randy? That kind of is sad, but true.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it is, I think there were a lot of people that were saying I don't agree with this. I don't believe in this. And to me, I'm like, so your circle is very small is what I'm hearing. Because I was like, it's not I said at I had a little bit of an early in-person book launch, just for scheduling reasons. So we had the in-person launch before the book actually released, and so I had it last week. And I made a comment there. I was like, it's not like I put a Care Bear in there. It's not like something you have to believe in because it's not real. Like, people are real. Like, these are real identities that people have. Um, and so, and I honestly got the impression that a lot of people, they would comment on that they were confused, that they found it hard to follow, that that wasn't the way that grammar works. They said that my book had a lot of grammar errors because I didn't understand singular versus plural pronouns, and I was like, those are not grammar errors. That is intentional.
Yeah.
But to me, I was just like, I just kept hearing a lot of like, so you just really haven't encountered people that are different from you, and so I don't know why anyone would maybe stumble onto this if they hated my book, but if they did, I'd just be like, I would say, keep reading, keep picking up books. Like, if you don't know those people in your real life, books are a great way to get to know types of people that are different than you.
I also was noticing, Randy, to your point, I've noticed as well that empathy has declined, recently. And I've also noticed people aren't reading as much as they were when I was growing up. And I think that one of the ways that we cultivate empathy is by walking in the shoes of another through the pages of a book. And so if your book can crack that door open for those who have never met someone who is non-binary, for those who have never met a person who who identifies as a they them, maybe this will start to cultivate even a tiny grain of awareness or a tiny grain of of empathy.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most we can hope for.
Yeah. And I think that's a wonderful, and that's honestly like one of the main reasons that I try to include a lot of diversity in my books. Like both, and they are not related, but both Angie and Madelyn, and You Shouldn't Be Here, are mixed race Chinese American, because that is what I am. And I grew up never having any characters that shared that identity with me. And so I'm kind of making up for lost time. And then I'm like, oh, I guess I can write characters that have my experience. And it's not about having that identity. They just have it, and it informs the way they interact with the world, And I have, I try to put in characters from all sorts of different backgrounds because, again, I first of all, again, feel like I'm kind of making up for lost time a little bit, in that while it is so wonderful that we have so many more diverse books now than we did when I was a teenager and, a young adult, it's still an uphill battle. And so, any ways that I can sort of help increase that sense of empathy and compassion in people, because to me, there's nothing better to help me relate to what someone might be going through than hearing their story. And so if I'm going to write stories, I want people to envision what they would do in all these different scenarios. What would I do if I was confronted with, not just, the murder of it all and the ghost, like those are the kind of big things, but just also, the fact that Madelyn starts a new job and no one's pronouncing her name right. Or, in my debut novel, in I'll Stop the World, I actually did have a coming out storyline, but I also had, I had Black characters, and they had to show their white friends, like, I can't interact in the world the exact same way that you do. I have different considerations. And so I'm like, all of those little things, here and there, that just hopefully will make people just think for a little bit of, how would I navigate that situation? What would I feel? How would I think if this is the body I was navigating the world in that's different than what I got?
Totally. Yeah. Jane, welcome to the conversation, saying, good grief, you just can't please some people any longer. So true, Jane. Robin saying, no, you just can't please nor fix anyone. Yeah, exactly. And I think we're all just, commiserating this. Renee's saying, I think more people are starting to read again. I agree. More people are starting to read again. That's so heartening. She said, I know that all of my siblings read. They are younger than me, and the youngest is my brother. Oh, see, I love hearing that.
Yeah, I love that too. And anytime that I hear that someone's reading, especially younger, I'm so excited because I'm like, there's so many distractions. Like I didn't grow up with as many distractions as there are now. So anytime someone chooses to read a book, it's honestly like kind of an honor if someone picks my book, especially. I'm like, wow, there's so many things vying for your time, and you chose my book. Like Julie chose my book twice. Like I can't
Yay!
even, it's such an honor. But also, I would say that as far as like pleasing everyone goes, you can never please everyone.
Yeah,
That's never been a thing,
that's never
ever.
been a thing.
And one of the things that I did when my when I'll Stop the World came out was, and because I'd heard over, and it took me a very long time to get published. It took me 8 years from signing with my agent to selling my debut novel. And so you were like, my book took me 10 years. I'm like, well, mine took me 8 to write and sell. So I tried a bunch of others in the time. And but one thing I had heard over and over is, like, don't read reviews, don't read reviews, don't read reviews. But I'm just a very curious person. And I was like, but I want to read the reviews. Like, I don't want them to wreak havoc on my psyche, but I do kind of want to know what people think. And, there's always the ones that are yucky. But then there's the ones that are wonderful. And those are those like give me inspiration to keep going. But one thing I did do to kind of help balance out that negativity was I went and read a bunch of 1-star reviews of my favorite books. And like the books that inspire me, the books that where I read them and I just am like, one day I hope to write a story this amazing.
Mm.
And that keep me going. And those books also have reviews that are like, this is garbage. This is incomprehensible. Couldn't
Always.
read it. This is stupid. Like all the same comments that I get too. Like, granted, they're not getting like reamed for having non-binary characters, but that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that people don't like there's always someone that hates a thing that you love, and I'm like, I'm not writing it for them. I'm not writing it for people that hate what I'm doing. I'm writing it for people that love what I'm doing, or that it speaks to them in some way.
Yay. Well, you can pre-order tonight, y'all, from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. You just want to mute when you do that.
I'm sorry.
And that is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is that link, and you can pre-order. The good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow. And we have 8 minutes left and lots of questions. So we're going to start buzzing through the lightning round. Sunil, welcome to the conversation, saying, this book has so many secrets, though. Yes. So tell us about Plotting the Secrets.
Plotting the Secrets. Well, to be very, very short about it, phase 1 in drafting is you just put all the plot points in, and then phase 2 is then you cover them up. And so it was write everything that happens in the order it needs to happen, and then I went through and revised to kind of like make everything a little less obvious. And there's more to it than that, but that's sort of how it is. First, you got to put all the bulbs in the ground, then you got to cover them up so that you don't know what's going to poke out when.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, thanks for all the hearts up, you guys. John, welcome to the conversation, joining us from Northeast Ohio. So good to have you here. Renee wants to know, how long did it take you to write? Sorry, no, we already answered that. She wants to know about your process. I'm just scrolling back because I want to make sure they get all of these questions. How many books have you had published total? And can you tell us about your writing process? Yes.
Okay, so You Shouldn't Be Here is my second published book. I have written more than that. I have completed at least 3 more than that, and I have written at least 100 pages on a couple more than that. My process has changed significantly over time. I used to be 100% a pantser, which is someone that does not know where the story is going. You just write it and you figure it out as you go. I am now more of a plotter, but more by necessity. And again,
tell us what you mean by necessity. Why was it a necessity?
Well, because I normally the discovery process of pantsing a novel takes, a couple years to really like write it and then go through it and figure out what it should be. And like I've had to trash entire books and rewrite them more than once because the first time through wasn't it. And each one gets me closer. I never believe that any words are wasted, but I didn't have time to do that much beating around the bush. And the book. So
The
instead,
plus and the 1.
um,
I love that.
and I've tried so many different outlining methods. I don't like any of them. Like all of the books, I have all the craft books, and I've tried that. I don't like any of them. I cannot save the cat. The cat is unsaved. Um, so for me, what I have to do is I literally tell myself the story in a voice to text. Like I talk into a Google Doc, just telling myself like a
Ooh.
Wikipedia summary of the story. This happens and this happens and this happens and this happens and the character learns this and then this. And I just give myself a broad overview because a lot of times when I'm talking, I can work through a lot of things in a different way than if I'm trying to write it. And then I go back and I edit that Google Doc because voice text is terrible and try to figure out what I meant and clean it up. And then I look at it and I try to add in the things that I feel like are missing, change things that feel too convenient. And I do that until I feel like I have a solid synopsis of what I want the story to look like. Then I will take that and I will break it down. And I've done this a couple times now. It's not just with this book. And I will then put it scene by scene into a spreadsheet. Um, and and I add checkboxes to my spreadsheets. Then when I write the scenes, I can check them off and feel real accomplished.
Oh my gosh, I love this process. That's so different than anything else that anyone has shared. Renee, thank you for the
I've
great
tried so
question.
many.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I love that. I've never heard that before. That's so fantastic. Tamron Hall actually dictates her books too, but this is a different way of dictating.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we had some questions submitted in advance. I want to get to at least 1 or 2 of those. This one is from Anne with an E. She wants to know, do you have any advice for aspiring authors?
Oh, I have so much advice for aspiring authors. Oh, Anne with an E, like Green Gables. Okay, first read, but not just read widely and read diversely. I think both of those things, like read multiple genres, not just the one you write in, although you should be reading the one you write in. Absolutely be well versed in the genre you write in, but also read other genres and read diverse authors for 2 reasons. One, the reason for multiple genres is each genre uses different toolkits, different tropes, different approaches to writing. And the more genres you read, the more tools you can put in your toolkit that you can pull from later. Um, like nothing is wasted. No reading is ever wasted. Um, and diversely is because you get a myriad perspectives. So you don't just get this is how like an author from this type of background tells a story. You get all sorts of different things that you would probably have never thought about before. Um, so that is my first tip. Also, I would say you should be reading for others and letting them read for you. You should never send out a manuscript that no one has had eyes on but you, whether that's to
Mm,
agents or to editors.
yeah.
You need other people looking at your work because they're going to see it in ways that you don't, even if you have worked on it so hard and you think it's so good. And I do think that some of those eyes on it need to be other writers, not just readers, because um, writers can often think about the why something is working or not working, whereas a reader just can tell you that this is working or not working. But I don't advise just other people to read your work. I advise trading work because I think you also learn a lot in the process of critique. When you're reading someone else's work and you're having to figure out, okay, this isn't working for me, but what about it isn't working? Um, and because you have to distill that into advice you can give the author to make it better. Because I didn't like this is not constructive. Like, I don't like this character is not constructive. It's what about this character isn't working? What about the plot are you not understanding? Like, what piece of backstory do you not get? And I have found that it is my writing has benefited so much more from the manuscripts I have critiqued than the ones I have had critiqued. Even though both of them are very, very helpful, I always learn more from trying to think through my own process and how would I make this manuscript better? How would I make it better fit the author's vision of what they want to be writing? And so it's with that like writer editorial brain, and then you can take that and apply it to your own work. And then the last thing I would say is to write for you first. Love what you're writing. Write to the reader that you are, because you are your first and only guaranteed reader. And so, and the market changes so quickly that the best way to not get burnt out by it so fast is to really love what you're writing and be like, well, I like this. And then also, if it does get out there and you do get negative reviews, you can still stand by, well, I like it. I like what I wrote. I wasn't doing it to try to check all these boxes for all these amorphous, faceless people that I don't know, because you can never please anyone. I like what I wrote. I wrote it for the type of reader that is me, and I know there are other people like me. And also, when you're doing that, as I said before, no writing is wasted. Even if the first book you write isn't your debut novel, that's fine. Or the second or third, like mine wasn't. It's fine. No writing is wasted. You become a better writer with every book you read, with every manuscript you critique, and with every word you write. You are making yourself a better writer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Megan, welcome to the conversation, saying great advice. Thank you for joining us. And I totally agree. Megan, great to have you here. Hi, friend. Renee. Okay, we have two more questions, and then we'll have to wrap up. Renee, so do you have a writing group where you read and critique others' books?
That is a great question. I used to. I've actually been through a couple different writing groups, and I think they are wonderful resources, but it kind of depends on what stage you're in as to how useful that can be. And it's very particular to the individual, because I know some people that are, many times published New York Times best-selling authors that still regularly meet with their original writing group. But a lot of writers that I know, kind of once they get published and once they start developing that relationship with their agent and editor, they kind of move away from having a writing group, because you're going to have so many eyes on this piece anyway, and especially if you have deadlines and that sort of thing, that there just winds up not necessarily being time. And it also, you hit a point where there becomes a too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing, where if you're trying to revise it for your critique partners and then also your agent and then also your editor and then also like it becomes a little much in terms of feedback. So I don't have a regular writing group anymore, but I did for a number of years, and I think it was super, super valuable. And I still definitely have friends that I send the book to in its early stage when it's going to my editor or when it's going to my agent. And I'm like, this has to go off, but I could use some validation. Would you like to read this and tell me if it's terrible? And so I still do have those trusted other writing friends that I will send work to, that, and I will read their work just so we can be like, yes, there is someone else here that has read it, and we are not professionally obligated to tell you it's good. Which, to be clear, my editor and my agent will definitely tell me when there are things that need to be changed. But it's not specifically a critique group anymore.
And we have got to hear the skinny on what it's like to be with Mindy. Tell us about being with Mindy's book studio. A couple people have asked about that. So we need to know everything. Do you Mindy text? Are you BFFs?
We do.
Send her half of the bracelet?
I was like, oh, this is going to be such like a womp womp as an answer here. Because so I'll Stop the World was a Mindy's book studio. I keep showing like this, but it's here because I can't do cameras. So Mindy Kaling picked up my debut novel for publication, and it's so far the only debut novel that has been published by Mindy's book studio. And that it was a little surreal when my agent first told me, she was like, so Mindy Kaling wants to buy your book. And I was like, that seems incorrect. Say words that make that make sense. But honestly, like, I have not met Mindy. I have not actually spoken to Mindy. I have gotten information from Mindy through intermediaries. Like Mindy would talk to my editor, and then my editor would pass the message along, those sorts of things. So Mindy definitely read the book. She wrote an intro to I'll Stop the World, which I'm just going to keep pointing in the wrong direction. And so like she She has been a wonderful publisher, but my relationship with her personally has been kind of like any traditional author with their publisher, where you don't necessarily meet the head honcho. You don't have them in your texts. My relationship has mostly been with my editor, my marketing team, my publicity team, which I will say, like, Mindy's book studio runs like it is a well-oiled machine. Like, they know what they're doing. They make very good books. They look beautiful. They read one. Like, I've read several of the other Mindy picks. I have loved all of them. Like, she has good taste and she gives good notes.
Yes.
And they put out beautiful books, and I love
And
them.
she loved your book.
But no, we are not having sleepovers or painting each other.
Darn it. Yet.
So sad.
Yet. Some people a lot of people can't make the live, and they are joining us later. So a special shout out to @thrilled-to-read-ya. She posted her review of your book yesterday and DM'd me and was so excited about this interview. So we just want to say a special hello to we always do shout outs for those to Emma, who couldn't make it live, but we could be catching the replay. Thank you, Emma. All right, y'all, that is a wrap. We are out of time. Time flies when you're having this much fun. So the book drops on Thursday. That is August 1st, and you can pre-order your copy now from our favorite
and I will say,
owned independent bookstore. And here is that link.
And I will say, if you pre-order, you've got a couple days left. Pre-order, there's a form on my website that you can go to, and if you fill it out, I will send you exclusive stickers.
Ooh, everybody loves stickers. Everybody loves stickers. So
great.
Everybody be sure to grab your sticker offer from Lauren. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on to give us the inside scoop on your brand new book, your second book, out on Thursday, y'all. So be sure to check it out. And I'm also dropping Lauren's website in the comments so that you can get that sticker. So here is that link for Lauren's website and your stickers. No, I know you don't want to be missing that. So here's that link. All right, y'all, go get a snack, get a drink, get a sip, and I will be back at the top of the hour with Yasmin Ango, back with her 4th book. You're not going to want to miss this. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.